have a speaker now who will wrap up not only the day, but also everything that has been happening this week. It's a great pleasure to have my colleague, Dr. Sola Adisope, who is a Boeing Distinguished Professor in STEM Education. He is at the College of Education, Sport and Human Services. I should get this one right. Newly renamed college here at WSU. He's also the Associate Dean for Research for that college. He's been involved with the Viceroy CySER program right from the beginning.
Yes.
He's going to be telling us something that I'd like you to pay close attention to that is unlike everything that has been happening now, to go away with learning how to become a lifelong learner. I would like to be a lifelong learner, and that's the kind of wisdom that Dr. Adisope will share with us. Sola, thank you very much for joining. The time is yours, and the place where we are is part V10, and we are all distributed in different tables if you are able to see us online. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very, very much, my good friend, Asifa. And I also want to pause and really pause this afternoon and say thanks so very much to Dr. Asifa for his leadership of cybersecurity initiatives here at Washington State University, and not just only here, but also around the Pacific Northwest and throughout the nation. What started as a little seed about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, has grown exponentially. It first started under another good colleague of mine, Dr. Benny, who I think I saw him there. And then Dr. Asifa took it up. We all worked together at the beginning. And I also want to remember Dr. Noel Schultz today, and the incredible support of James Crabb, rather, has been with us. All those 4 people have been with us from the beginning. So I really want to pause this afternoon and say thank you so very much to them. They have not just only given this institution, put this institution on the map, they are also giving great career and future to many young people in this country and around the Pacific Northwest in advancing cybersecurity initiatives and research in our country. So I want to say a big thank you. Thank you, and thank you to these great colleagues. I also want to say thank you to you all for participating in this workshop. The workshop that you have gone through this week, I'm sure you will look back and you will see how defining this workshop has been to your career. Today, I have the unenviable job. I've always been told that the first one to present at a workshop and the last one to present at a workshop, their jobs, nobody envies them. Their job is difficult. The one who sets the pace, the first, and the one, everybody has said almost everything. So why do we need to listen to one more person? So I realize I am the only one standing between you and a good long weekend. So I will try to make this as short as possible. Today, I will title this talk, Becoming a Lifelong Learner. Becoming a lifelong learner. And at the end of this short talk, we will have the privilege of filling out the workshop survey. Dr. Asifa has introduced me, so I really don't need to introduce myself. Again, I come from educational psychological background. I have a lot of research interest in concept mapping, or how we represent knowledge alternatively to text. Text has been the dominant form of knowledge representation for centuries, and it's for over 20 years now, I have been looking into alternative ways of knowledge representation, and concept map or knowledge map is a big one that I have worked on. I'm so passionate to me, and you are seeing a concept map on the screen now of my research interest. I do concept map because this is the way knowledge is organized in our brain, in our long-term memory. I do research in multimedia learning and adaptive systems, meta-analysis, research methods, self-regulated learning, STEM education, particularly now artificial intelligence, work, generative AI, as well as learning analytics. But how to, in the next 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I really want to focus on how can you become a lifelong learner? Becoming a lifelong learner is so crucial. It's one thing to learn in formal academic environment or spaces like you are now, but it's also another thing to continue to be a learner all your life. And coming from the College of Education, I really want to lay out the charge to you that um, we all need to develop our country to have a future that is bright. We all need to cultivate lifelong learning skills. We need to aspire to become a lifelong learner, someone who is committed to ongoing professional development, ongoing education, someone who embraces a growth mindset. This is a quote that I normally like to quote for my students, that the day we stop learning is the day we die. I look for learning opportunities every single day, and there are learning opportunities around us every single day. In fact, when I go to academic conferences, big conferences, I not only go to areas that are central to my program of research, I also go to areas, presentations that are not so much in my area, that are a little bit distant from my area. I go to presentations in biology, in bioengineering, in, chemical engineering, all these different areas. Why? Because I'm looking to learn. I'm looking for new ideas that I can bring into my space. And then begin to develop my space to connect with so many other fantastic fields, knowing that many grand challenges and problems we have in our nation cannot be solved in silos. They have to be solved looking into other areas that are interconnected with what we do. Same with cyber education. Same with cybersecurity. Look at when we had COVID-19, we had a record breakthrough for development of vaccine in our country. The United States rose above every country to develop vaccines that were very effective. But look at where the problem lied. It was not in the development of the science, it was in convincing human beings to take the vaccines. That was a problem the government did not think of, but they suddenly realized that, oh, many people did not want to take it. So, even in advancement of science and engineering, we always have to look for the spaces where human beings connect with those advancements. So, the day we stop learning, again, is the day we die. Lifelong learning can consist of multiple activities, including, any a degree in a formal space, pursuing certifications on the job training, reading to learn new things, again, using both formal and informal learning opportunities to foster continuous development and improvement of the knowledge and skills that are needed for career and personal fulfillment. You can underline that personal fulfillment long even after you have, graduated, worked, and retired. We still want to keep the spirit of lifelong learning, keep on learning, keep on refreshing, because there is research even in cognitive psychology and cognitive science showing that if someone who is a lifelong learner who is always seeking to connect the dots, their brains always remain more active and they actually even live longer. Their brain is really, really active and they are sharp, even in old age. So this issue we are talking about today is really, really important. It's about having that fierce desire to gain knowledge and skills whenever, wherever, however. So this is not just only here in the space in which you are, and I know I'm the last person standing between you and leaving that space. But what do you do when you leave this space? You go on internship. You go to work for industries. You go in those even informal spaces. I challenge you and I encourage you to look for opportunities to learn because they learn new things. Challenge yourself. Why does lifelong learning matter? You know, technology and industries, they have evolved very rapidly. Continuous learning is now essential. I wrote a grant proposal about 2 years ago. It, for the first time, it did not get funded. It did not get funded, but it was very highly reviewed. This was a project to teach middle school kids and K-12 kids computer programming. That was a needed project for our state, knowing the lack of, well-trained, lack of even motivation in going into STEM disciplines in the country. And the reviewers thought this was great, everything, but we it was not funded. They ran out of funding and they encouraged us, please put this application in last year. You know, when we put the application in the following year, AI, generative AI movement had happened. In 1 year, that proposal came from almost being funded. And they said, no, we can't fund this again. You have to look for spaces whereby this becomes relevant. How can the main thing now is not just even only, yes, it's still very important to teach fundamental programming concepts, but you have to tell us how you will teach these kids how to use AI to advance their programming skills. So you can see that, you may learn something in school today, and then in a matter of 1 year, it changed for me. The need changed, so to say. So lifelong learning is very important. Coming from the College of Education, I had to go and learn, okay, how does AI help with software engineering skills or programming skills, and then we are including that now in the proposal that we would plan to submit later this year. So this is why lifelong learning is important. Things can change in our society. And if you're already trained to be a lifelong learner, it was not a problem for me. I had to read a few things and then caught up on the influence of AI, how AI can help and how to teach soft skills like the ability to ask good questions of the AI, the ability to seek help with the AI. Those have now become more fundamental to teaching of kids how to program. So there's research linking lifelong learning with stronger cognitive health and well-being. I spoke about that. There's continuous learning that improves career adaptability and resilience. You see the layoff in many computing industry. It's only for those who cannot adapt. If you can adapt and your skills and have lifelong learning skills, you always get a job. You are always ahead of the curve because you know where the movement is going, and then you know what kind of additional skills to pick up. Cybersecurity will always be very important, very critical, even more so as we go on in our country. So learning supports creativity, problem solving, as well as social engagement. There are a few other reasons why lifelong learning matters. We had the 2021 systematic review. I am a specialist in systematic review, so this one caught my attention. It found that lifelong learning improves cognitive function, self-confidence, and quality of life. And studies have shown numerous evidence intellectually stimulating activities may delay cognitive declines like dementia, the onset of dementia. When you use your brain, you're constantly in the middle of trying to find the dots and connect the dots. Your brain is sharpened, and it can delay onset of dementia even in old age. Continuous learning is also associated with stronger labor market outcomes and career sustainability. And when you mentally stimulating work and hobbies build what we call the cognitive reserve in your brain. And I will just very briefly touch on four areas by which I invite you today. There's many more. There could be many more, I should say, but four areas that I invite you today to become a lifelong learner. First, develop what Carol Dweck from Stanford called a growth mindset. A growth mindset is very, very important. Research by Carol Dweck shows people who believe abilities can improve are more likely to persist and succeed. Uh, if people believe that, no, I can't improve, they will not make efforts to persist and succeed and improve. So, but Carol Dweck, over numerous studies, showed that students who believe that they can always do better, they can connect the dots, they always have the ability to improve. They are more likely to persist and succeed. A growth mindset also views mistakes as learning opportunities. They never give up. It's not like, oh, I need to quit now because I didn't do well and on the first try. Remember, if the person who developed electricity had given up the first attempt, we probably might not be here today. So those are people with growth mindset, very successful people. Education research has shown that they view mistakes as learning opportunities. They replace fixed thinking with I can improve with effort and practice. Those who do not have growth mindset always find another person to blame for their mistake. They are always looking for a scapegoat. But someone with a growth mindset can always view, mistakes as, oh, this is an opportunity for me to learn. And they can always say, oh, I can improve. I just need to put some more efforts and practice. They also seek out very constructive criticism and feedback very regularly. They want to know, how does this look? Can I improve on this? How do I improve? And, they might also celebrate small wins. And I can underline that small for you. It doesn't have to be something big. It's a small wins can sustain motivation. In fact, in educational motivational research is called the proximal goals. When you celebrate achievement of proximal goals, it helps you to attain your distal goals, your goals that are out there. Set up small wins for yourself. What I want to achieve in a month, in a semester, during this summer, I'm going on internship after this. This is what I want to achieve. I want to build connections. I want to learn some new skills in cybersecurity. And at the end of the summer, when you achieve those small wins or small goals, celebrate it. Be happy about it. That will sustain your motivation. And these are all research based, by the way. The second approach to becoming a lifelong learner is to practice active, interactive, consistent learning. Studies have shown that spaced repetition and active recall can improve long-term memory retention. That is very important, that you do not cram, you do not put all your learning in one time. I mean, don't wait till a day to the exam, a day to when you are going to leave the internship to fill out your report, develop report, assess where you have knowledge gaps, plan to remediate that, to address those knowledge gaps the following week. That's what, if you do that, you space it out. That's what it's called, space practice or space learning. But when all of this is crammed into one short study period, it is not as effective. Then apply knowledge through projects and discussions. Have a project that you want to work on. It might be a small project. Those projects will help you connect the theory to practice. And then teach others to strengthen your own understanding. In educational psychology, we call it, you can call it self-explanation and other explanation. You explain it to yourself and then you explain it to other people. You teach other people. These are very proactive learning strategies to becoming a lifelong learner. Then build learning habits and reflection. Behavioral science research has shown that habits are more sustainable than when you only rely on motivation, and you can schedule dedicated weekly learning times. You track your progress through different means. Some you can track your progress through journaling, or you can even use digital tools to journal and say, reflect on those. What did I learn? What should I improve? As you go into your internship, you really can develop those learning habits and reflection. So let me stop with those three major areas now and conclude with this thought. The future actually belongs to lifelong learners. The past has actually belonged to them as well, but even more so in this world that is changing. Technology is changing rapidly. Many things are changing rapidly. The future, our future, your future, my future belongs to those who can develop lifelong learning skills. Lifelong learning is a competitive advantage in a changing world. Continuous learning can support your health, adaptability, and fulfillment. As small daily learning habits, very good ones, can compound over time and just strengthen your mental alertness and your cognitive capability. The most successful people, they remain curious throughout their life. And that is how to reach that next level. Ask yourself, what if I bring this circuit into that space? What will happen? That is what successful people do. I will pause there and ask if there's anyone with questions. Again, I know I'm the one standing between you and having a good long weekend, but if there are questions, I'm happy to entertain them before I would, you fill out this workshop survey, you can scan this QR code. It should take you to the survey, and then I don't think it will take you more than 10, 15 minutes to fill out the survey. We want everyone to fill the survey out right here today. Before, that is why my own presentation is short. Inspires you to go out into the world, become a lifelong learner, conquer and do great things in life. Let me pause and take questions.
Thank you very much, Sola. That was wonderful. A lot of good wisdom to them to apply for the rest of their life, our lives, maybe. I don't know if anybody's got questions. I know we have all taken the barcode and we're getting into filling out the workshop survey. But is there anybody else got a question? I think it's more of a call to action, I guess, to apply for the, and proceed with our lives. So I'm not surprised that there are no questions, and it was very clear, the message was very clear. So I'm going to let them fill out the form. If you are the opportunity, you can stay online so that how things go. But thank you very much for taking the time and sharing what you have to say today.
It's my pleasure. So should I, and James has the QR code too. James?